So I am here sitting with my friends, two long time friends, lovely couple, people who love the Lord. These are people who sowed into my life when I was just a teeny little girl, 18 years old, teeny in every sense of the word. So I'm here with my sister, Nita and Darley Phillips, and we were just here talking about marriage. And I just wanted to record. She said some beautiful things about her marriage, and I just wanted her to say something that I could have as a memory about her marriage and a message to all of us who might be married or might be thinking of taking a step in marriage. So over to you, sister.
Yeah. From the time we got married, in fact, before we got married, I had already committed myself through prayer to Him. But when we got married, from that day on till now, and this is over 34 years that we've been married, we never had a split in our marriage or relationship, not once. We had this thing from when we first got married. If you are angry, we do not go to sleep angry. We do not decide we're not going to speak until the next day, because the next day we might not speak. So we always make that marriage, that commitment, and that whatever it is we had that was the troubling factor, we would always, before we go to bed, fix it. And then we would go to sleep.
Right, and I like what you were saying about the what you said before God, the covenant that you made before God. Tell us a bit more about that.
That covenant that we made before God is until death do we part. So there's no parting until we pass from this life. We're together forever. I just keep telling him so, and he's keep telling me so. This is forever. So there ain't no turning back, nor no getting away. We are there for good.
And what I love about your journey, what I love about your story is the fact that I've been a witness to part of your lives. Your children, tell us about your children. Tell us about the different things in marriage that you would have had to go through. Because marriages now that haven't really been tested, they've fallen apart. And what I love about your story is that you've done it all. So how did you make it through raising your children? Your children are grown now. Tell us about that and marriage.
Well, I must say, if it wasn't for the fact that we were steadfast and steady in God, I believe it would have broken apart, because there's so many things that happened that could have separated us. But we kept the faith, we kept the word, we kept steadfast with that. If we had issues, we would always go to God together in prayer. We would seek God together about it. And when we had children, we committed them to God. And our children, they're old now. When they say old, they're like in the 30s, right? But my children does always say, I see my father and my mother together from the time we knew ourselves, and people around them, and they were married, and they are still married. So I believe that marriage is to until death you do part, and they have the same concept, even though they're not married. They have the same concept. So they're not just looking for friends or for somebody who would say, well, I like him or I like her. No. They're looking for somebody who would be serious, to have a relationship with that.
And somebody who has a relationship with God.
God.
But what I want to ask Brother Darley is this. Was it easy being her husband? Because I know a lot of men struggle. They have women that they can't necessarily do the things that they would want to do with, or be the type of husband that they want to be. How was it for you? Did she give you any trouble?
No, please. I have always been able to be myself, and being me was about trying to be the best Christian person that I could be. And I think that was something that she loved and appreciated, so that me being me was just being what was helpful to her, and both of us went on serving God in that.
Right. I like what you said, Sister Nita, about what he said to you before y'all were married. You want to share that? Because I think a lot of women need to understand that and to hear that and to even hear it from another woman.
Okay, now, when we were courting, right, we were looking to get married, but we weren't there yet, so we were just courting. And there was something that I wanted to do, and he told me not to do it. And I said to him, well, you're not married to me, so I can do what I have to do. And he looked at me and said, so only if you have a ring on your finger would I be respected as your husband? And I would tell him the lie. When he said it, right, it hit me what it was I just said. It was like if he slapped me in my face, and I dead stop and I said, wait, that's true, you know. The relationship has to be more than a ring. So I went home and I had some time with the Lord, who reprimanded me, and I prayed and I asked him to forgive me. And I called him and I said, look, you know what? I was wrong. I humbled myself, even though something would have been me saying, don't do that, that can make you look like you was an idiot. I humbled myself because the Bible said that humility is of great price before God. So I humbled myself and I tell him, look, I was wrong in the way I approached this thing. I'm sorry. And, you know, from that day on, that relationship was absolutely different. And up until this day, I respect and honor this man. He's my husband. I love him with my whole heart.
I know.
I do. And I just tell him all the time, there ain't nobody, I'm your first, second, and third wife. By that time, I'll be dead. So anybody else after that. But he's my husband till death we do part.
Amen.
And I believe that I am his wife until death we do part, because we made that commitment together before God.
Amen.
And even though we were very young, because when we got married, he was 19, right? And that's a very young age to get married, even here in Barbados, right? But the beautiful thing about it is we kept it. I remember there was a lot of negative about it, that he's a little boy. And
right, and he was 19, and you want to say how old you were?
Okay, I was 27.
Right, and you know people always say that ain't gonna work and think, but
Right,
I have seen your marriage, and I know that truly it is a divine marriage, and it's a marriage, you know, before God and by God.
Even the day when we got married, when we actually got married, there was a gentleman, because the Spirit of God was so prevalent in that place. There was a man who turned and said, I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that this marriage is different to all the other weddings I have been to, that this is directly from God. He said, I can feel the presence of God here, and I can see it. And I mean, it wasn't just, we had like church at this wedding.
Right.
It was
church.
rejoicing and the Spirit of God moving. It was just wonderful. It was something, I am sorry I didn't have it on tape, but it was something would ever be forever etched in my memory.
I'll be happy to do this setup for the renewing of your vows. You know, I would enjoy doing that. But you are truly a couple that I would never forget. I honor you as a couple, as mentors for me, as senior people. I've been to church with you. I've seen your life. I've been at your home. You've been at mine. So I know what you see is what you get. So I truly honor you as a couple, as a family. And, you know, you continue to be an example for believers, and that's why I wanted to do this short clip with you. Yeah, so I just want to thank you too, and encourage you, and, you know, thank you for even being honest and transparent, because I think we need to have the visuals. We need to have the marriage needs to be modeled. The Christian marriage has to be modeled. I find that there are not enough people who are willing to come to the forefront and say, this is what marriage really is. What we're getting now from Hollywood isn't the pattern for the Christian marriage. So many marriages that struggle think that, you know, there's something wrong with them or whatever. But I like the fact that y'all are able to come to the table and say, no, this is what our marriage was like, and we survived this, and, you know, we stuck with God and God stuck with us. So thank you so much. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you too.
You are welcome.